Okay, very good morning. Welcome to session 4, Chemical Bonding and Water Technology. In our last session, we discussed about molecular orbital theory and what is LCO approximation method, linear combination of atomic orbitals approximation method, and how to construct the molecular orbital energy level diagram of some of the molecules like H2 molecule, N2 molecule, O2 molecule, and CO molecule. And today in this session, so we will see molecular orbital theory, how to explain the formation of octahedral metal complexes, how this molecular theory useful to explain the formation of octahedral metal complexes by taking one of the example. Okay. So according to crystal field theory, so the metal ligand bond formation, it is purely ionic in nature. So that is one of the main drawback of the crystal field theory. So and at the same time, crystal field theory considers only participation of d orbitals during the split during the metal ligand bond formation, either in octahedral complex or in the case of tetrahedral metal complexes. But it is not bothering about the s orbitals or p orbitals available in the metal center or ligand group orbital. That means ligand orbitals also not considered for the this particular formation of octahedral metal complexes like this. So that is one of the drawback of the crystal field theory. And some of the experimental evidences like EPS spectra or nephelastic effect or absorption spectra or electronic spectra clearly indicates that the metal ligand bond actually having certain amount of covalent character actually. So in order to address all these issues, we have to go through the molecular orbital theory, because this is actually based on the formation of new type of orbitals called molecular orbitals, antibonding molecular orbitals, because of the linear combination of various atomic orbitals involved in the molecule formation. So today I am going to explain the MO energy level diagram of hexaamine cobalt 3 complex by using MO theory. Okay, so we know that this is the structure of the hexaamine cobalt 3 complex. It is like this, and this is the cation, hexaamine cobalt 3 cation. So this cation actually having octahedral structure in this manner because of the metal ligand bond formation like this. So now we have to explain the formation of this one by using MO energy level diagram. So whether that is a diamagnetic in nature or paramagnetic in nature, so all these things we will discuss by using this one. Okay, the MO theory. So if you see this molecule, in this molecule, what is the center metal ion? We have actually cobalt metal atom. So this is the electronic configuration of cobalt metal atom. So that is actually argon 3d7 4s2. But in this example, cobalt actually available in +3 state, because we have a ammonia molecule as a ligand in this particular case. All these ammonia molecules act as a neutral ligands. So that means there is no charge on the ligands here, neutral ligands we have. So the overall charge, what are the charge available here, that is belongs to metal center only. So that means in this case, cobalt available in +3 state. What is the meaning of cobalt +3? So we have to remove 3 electrons from the cobalt electronic configuration. From the cobalt we have to remove 2 electrons. Once you remove 3 electrons, then what will happen? So 2 electrons from here and 1 electron from the 7 d orbitals. So therefore we will get actually this configuration. Cobalt 3 plus actually having 3d6 4s0 like that. So in order to construct the MO energy level diagram, here we are actually considering both 3d orbitals as well as 4s orbitals, and we have also need to consider 4p orbitals also. So from the metal side we have 3 different types of orbitals in this manner. How many d orbitals are available? We have total 5 d orbitals are actually available, and 1 s orbital, 4s orbital, and 3 4p orbitals. So total we have actually 9 atomic orbitals are available from the metal side. And coming to the second one, actually ligand. What is the ligand in this case? Ammonia molecule. So ammonia molecule acting as one of the neutral ligand, because each nitrogen actually having one lone pair of electrons like this. So according to valency bond theory, ammonia molecule actually having pyramidal structure in this manner. And this is like this. So in this case, each nitrogen undergoes sp3 hybridization, and this is one of the sp3 hybridized orbital, but that orbital actually contains lone pair of electron. So this is one of the neutral molecule. So this neutral molecule acting as a ligand in this particular example. So that means from the ligand side we have a sp3 hybridized orbitals. From the ligand side we have a sp3 hybridized orbitals, and each orbital actually consists one lone pair of electrons. So like this, how many ligands we have in this example? Total 6 ligands are available. So that means here we have a 6 sp3 hybridized orbitals in this manner, like this. So ligand actually contains 6 sp3 hybridized orbitals, and the corresponding metal contains actually 9 atomic orbitals. Now we have to see the linear combination between the these ligand orbitals are from the and these 9 metal atomic orbitals. Once these orbitals undergoing linear combination, so we can generate new type of bonding molecular orbitals, anti-bonding molecular orbitals. Yes or no? So in the case of O2 molecule or in the case of CO molecule, so always there is a linear combination between the corresponding atomic orbitals. So 1s combines with another 1s orbital, 2s combines with another 2s orbital, and 2p orbitals combines with another 2p orbitals. Like this, always there is a linear combination of atomic orbitals whenever there is a molecule formation. So in this case also, this is one of the complex molecule. This is one of the complex molecule. Here we have actually one cobalt metal center and 6 ligands like this. So we have to consider all those orbitals. From the metal side, we have a 9 atomic orbitals in this manner: 5 d orbitals, 1 4s orbital, and 3 4p orbitals. 9 atomic orbitals are available, and from the ligand side, we have a 6 sp3 hybridized lone pair orbitals like this. So these are also participating bond formation in this case. Okay. So now we will see how to do linear combination between them. So that is actually one of the important question. And another important point actually, if you see the orbitals available for the linear combination, from the metal side we have a atomic orbitals only. From the metal side we have a atomic orbitals. And from the ligand side we have actually, these are actually sp3 hybridized orbitals. That means this is actually one of the neutral molecule. This is actually molecule, and this is actually metal cation. So that means all energy of all these orbitals are little bit higher than the energy of all these sp3 hybridized orbitals, because these are little bit stabilized orbitals. But these are actually atomic orbitals, always having higher energy. So that means there is an energy mismatch between them. Okay. At the same time, we have 3d orbital, 4s orbital, 4p orbital, but we don't have a similar type of orbital from the ligand side. Yes or not? In the case of O2 molecule, if you see 1s combines with another 1s, or 2s combines with another 2s, or 2p combines with another 2p. But here from the metal side we have a 3d, 4s, 4p orbitals. From the ligand side we have a sp3 hybridized orbital. So these are actually entirely different with respect to their shape, with respect to their symmetry, entirely different. Yes or not? So then how to do linear combination between them? What is the common parameter between them? So with respect to energy, all these sp3 hybrid orbitals actually having lower energy, and 3d, 4s, 4p orbitals actually having higher energy. So in order to make a linear combination between them, we have to find out some common parameter between them. So that means in the case of metal complexes, in the case of octahedral metal complexes or tetrahedral metal complexes, and if we want to construct the MO energy diagrams like this, always we have to depend on the symmetry of the each and every atomic orbital. We have to consider symmetry of the each and every atomic orbital and the corresponding ligand orbitals also. So once if you see the symmetry of each and every orbital available for the linear combination, if there is if two orbitals actually having same kind of symmetry, then they will participate in the linear combination process. Understand? So here we have with respect to the shape, with respect to their energy, some mismatches are there. So in order to make linear combination between them, we need some common parameter. So that is actually symmetry operation. So we have to check what is the symmetry of each and every atomic orbital and each and every ligand group orbitals. Once symmetry is matching between them, definitely there is a linear combination between them. So that means, so here we have a total 9 atomic orbitals and 6 ligand orbitals like this. Now we have to see what are the symmetries of each and every orbital. So that is the next important point. So let me show you the symmetries of all these atomic orbitals and ligand group orbitals. Once we know the symmetry of each and every orbital, then we can do the linear combination process and we can able to construct the MO energy level diagram for this particular molecule. So now I am going to show you what are the symmetry of each and every orbital. So actually the symmetry of each symmetry can be predicted by symmetry group theory concept. So symmetry group theory actually different concept. Symmetry group theory concept. So symmetry group theory actually mainly focuses and predicts the symmetry of the various molecules, various atoms and various orbitals in order to understand their stability, in order to understand the reactivity. So sometimes we have to go through the symmetry elements also. Okay, so basically it is useful to predict the symmetry of either atom or molecule or one of any object. So we have different types of symmetry elements like center of symmetry, plane of symmetry, or axis of symmetry, like this. So many other things also there. So center of symmetry, plane of symmetry, axis of symmetry, like this. By using some of the symmetry elements, these are actually called symmetry elements. By using these symmetry elements, we can able to predict the corresponding symmetry of the given molecule or given atom or given orbital actually. So by using that concept, we have to predict the symmetry of each and every orbital. So in our case, just we want to know what are the symmetries of the 9 atomic orbitals available in the metal center and 6 ligand orbitals available from the ammonium molecules. So from the metal side, in case of cobalt 3+, we have a 3d orbitals and 4s orbital and we have a 4p orbital. Yes or no? Totally we have 9 atomic orbitals. So we will see one by one. First, s orbital shape. First we will find out what is the symmetry of the s orbital. We know that s orbital is actually having spherical shape like this. Let us say this is x-axis or y-axis, or we can also like this. So s orbital is always having spherical in shape. So due to the spherical shape, so s orbital actually is one of the symmetric orbital. So if you take any point here, we will get the same point in the opposite side also. The same point. If you travel, this is the half of the distance. If you travel the opposite direction, you will get the same point. Like this, s orbital is actually having symmetry, center of symmetry, and these also having plane of symmetry. So if you take one of the plane here, this half of the portion actually exactly similar to the other half of the portion. Like this is actually having plane of symmetry, axis symmetry, like that. So basically, s orbital is actually having, s orbital is actually one of the, this is one of symmetric molecule, symmetric orbital. So symmetric in nature. S orbital actually one is symmetric in nature. But if you see the p orbital, let us assume like this: x-axis, y-axis. Let us say this is a px orbital. So px orbital means this is actually positive. P orbital is actually having dumbbell shape like this. This is the positive lobe and this is actually negative lobe. So that means, so this is different from this one. Both are different. So that means this is not symmetric in nature. This is actually not symmetric in nature. It is actually asymmetric in nature or unsymmetrical in nature. So these are actually like this. We have a px, py, pz also. This is py, positive lobe, negative. So unsymmetric in nature. Similarly, we have a, let us say, z axis, x axis. This is positive, negative, like this. So all these p orbitals actually unsymmetrical nature, because so one side we have a positive lobe, other side we have a negative lobe. Both are actually different. But in this case, everything actually only, this is actually completely only positive lobe only. So here everything actually similar, identical. So always S orbital is actually having symmetric in nature, whereas P orbital is actually unsymmetric in nature because of the positive negative lobes are available like this. But when coming to the d orbitals, so let us assume this is one of the d orbital, x axis and y axis, and this is one of the d orbital. So this is completely positive, one of the lobe actually completely positive, but other actually are completely negative. So that means this is both sides we have a same kind of lobe, and this is actually another lobe. That means if you take any point here, you will get the same point here. If you take any point here, you will get the same point here. So that means d orbital, this is actually dxy orbital. So dxy orbital. So this is also one of the symmetric orbital, symmetric in nature. So like this we have a dyz and dxz also, xz as well as dyz also. All these three orbitals actually having same kind of structure, shape like this. The lobes are actually available in between the axis only. So one of the lobe actually positive lobe, the other lobe actually negative lobe. So that means all these three actually symmetric in nature. And coming to the fourth orbital, what is another one actually? X axis, y axis. This is actually dx square minus y square orbital. So here also one of the lobe actually positive, other one actually negative. So if you see one point here, you will get the same point here. If you take one point here, you will get the same point here. So that means even this one also actually symmetric in nature. This is also symmetric in nature. Similarly, dz square orbital also. X axis, z axis. So this is actually dz square orbital. So this is also one kind of lobe. This is actually opposite lobe. So that means this is also having symmetric in nature. Like this, among the 5 d orbitals, all 5 d orbitals actually symmetric in nature. So S orbital actually symmetric in nature. All p orbitals actually unsymmetric in nature or asymmetric in nature. Asymmetric in nature, and again d orbitals are actually symmetric in nature. So like this, we have a two different types of orbitals. One S orbital symmetric in nature, p orbitals asymmetric in nature, and all 5 d orbitals actually symmetric in nature. So according to symmetry group theory, so each orbital actually having this symmetry element. So we can able to represent by using one of the symbol. So based on the symmetry and what type of axis symmetry is available, what type of center symmetry is available, what type of planar symmetry is available, each orbital actually having their own symmetry group symbol. So according to that knowledge, according to that point, S orbitals always transform to A1G symmetric symbol like this, symmetry element like this. And p orbitals, how many p orbitals we have? Generally we have 3 p orbitals, px, py, pz. All are actually having same amount of energy. They are actually called dz p orbitals. So these p orbitals actually unsymmetrical in nature. But how many orbitals we have? 3. So T, 1, U. And we have 5 d orbitals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, all these 5 d orbitals actually degenerate in nature, and all these 5 d orbitals transforming into T2G plus EZ symmetry groups like this. So why it is actually A1G? So A means actually, according to symmetry group theory concept, A indicates singly degenerate. This is actually singly degenerate. That means there is only one level. There is no any degenerate orbitals. Always S orbital means there is only one orbital, either 1s or 2s or 3s, like that only. Okay, and E means doubly degenerate. According to symmetry group theory, the symbol E means doubly degenerate. That means in this case we have a 2 degenerate orbitals like this. Whenever 2 orbitals having same energy, we have to write E level, E symbol. And T means triply triply degenerate. So that means if 3 different orbitals having same amount of energy, then we have to use the symbol T. So like this. So in this case, we know that among the 5 d orbitals, 3 d orbitals having same kind of shape, like dx, dy, dxj, and 2 d orbitals actually having different shapes. So like dx my square s square and dz both are actually having their lobes in between along the axis, whereas dxy, dyz, dxz orbitals actually having their lobes in between the axis. Dx square minus y square and dz square orbitals actually having their lobes along the axis. So that means we have 2 set of orbitals. The first set of orbitals actually having T2G symmetry, and the other 2 orbitals actually having EZ symmetry. So here the T indicates actually 3 d orbitals actually having some kind of symmetry, and 2 E means actually other 2 orbitals actually having another type of symmetry like this. Okay. So here this G actually indicates actually G actually means Gerard. That means symmetric in nature. Whenever if any orbital or any molecule actually having symmetry, then we have to use G symbol like this. So G symbol like this, and this 1 or 2 actually indicates actually corresponding axial symmetry or planar symmetry available in that molecule. And sometimes we will write U also. For example, here I mentioned actually U symbol. U means actually ungerade. U means actually ungerade. That means unsymmetric in nature, not asymmetric in nature. So like this, according to symmetry group theory concept, S orbitals always transforming into A1G symmetry, and 3 p orbitals transforming into T1U symmetry, and 5 d orbitals transforming into T2G plus EG symmetry. So this is for the metal center. And from the ligand, what we have actually? So we have 6 ammonia molecules acting as a ligands in this case, and each ammonia molecule actually having 1 pair of electrons in the sp3 hybridized orbital like this. So that means totally we have a 6 sp3 hybridized orbitals for the linear combination process. Yes or not? Totally we have a 6 sp3 hybridized orbitals for the linear combination process, and each sp3 hybridized orbital contains 1 pair of electrons. Yes or not? Each sp3 hybridized orbital contains 1 pair of electrons. So like this we have a total 6 ligand group orbitals. These are actually called ligand group orbitals. LGO means ligand group orbitals. So from the ligand side we have a 6 ligand group orbitals. Each ligand group orbital contains 1 pair of electron. Then how many electrons are available from the ligand? Totally we have a 12 electrons. And now the question actually, what are the symmetries of all these 6 ligand group orbitals? according to symmetry group theory concept, whenever there is a molecule formation like this, octahedral metal complex like this, how these 6 ligand group orbitals are actually transforming. So according to symmetry group theory, all these 6 ligand group orbitals are actually transforming into A1G plus EZ plus T1U. So according to symmetry group theory concept, whenever there is a metal complex formation is there, the available 6 ligand group orbitals are transforming into A1G, EZ and T1U kind of symmetry elements like this. So A means 1, singly degenerate level, E means 2, doublet degenerate, T means 3. Total how many are there? Total 6. So out of 6 ligand group orbitals, and 3 orbitals actually having symmetrical nature and 3 orbitals actually unsymmetrical nature. That is the meaning actually. So, but how these values are coming means that we have to go through the symmetry group theory concept, but that is not our syllabus. So just directly we are taking the final result from the symmetry group theory only, because we want to construct the MO energy level diagram. That is our main interest. But we have to see the corresponding symmetry elements, and these are the possible symmetry elements for the whatever the atomic orbitals available for in this particular molecule. So in our molecule, we have a d orbitals, p orbitals, s orbitals for the linear combination process, and these are the corresponding symmetry elements, and these are the ligand group orbitals available for the linear combination. Now these 6 ligand group orbitals actually transforming into A1G, EZ and T1U kind of symmetry. So that means if we see this, all these symmetry elements, is there any common symmetry between them? With respect to shape, we have different shapes. D orbitals actually having different shape, sp3 hybrid orbitals actually having different shape, p orbitals actually having different shape, sp3 hybrid orbitals actually having different shape, s orbital actually having different shape, and sp3 hybrid orbitals actually different shape. There is a match between them, and energy is also different. But what the common property means? Corresponding symmetries. You can see here s orbital actually having A1G symmetry. Here also we have a A1G symmetry from the ligand side, and p orbitals actually having T1U symmetry. Here also we have a T1U symmetry. That means linear combination possible between them. And here we have a T2 EZ orbital, EZ symmetry. Here also we have a EZ. That means between them there is a linear combination actually possible. Like this, if we consider the symmetry elements, then there is some common property between them. So then we can do linear combination process, and we can able to understand what are the bonding orbitals and what are the antibonding orbitals forming in this particular complex. So that is the reason whenever if you want to construct MO energy level diagram of octahedral metal complexes or tetrahedral metal complexes, always we have to consider the corresponding symmetries of the each and every atomic orbital and ligand group orbitals. That is very, very important. Okay. So based on this knowledge, now I am going to construct the MO energy level diagram of hexaamino cobalt 3 metal complex. Okay. So let us see. So maybe it's a little bit confusing to you, but please go through one or two times all these things, you will get some idea. So now we have actually generated the symmetries of each and every element. We know what are the symmetries of each and every orbital. So by using this knowledge, I am going to construct the MO energy level diagram. Okay. Okay. So whenever if you want to consider MO energy level diagram, so what is our molecule actually? Cobalt, NaHC 6 times 3 plus. So in this case, this is actually metal and these are actually ligands. Between the metal and ligand, there is a bond between them. So in case of CO molecule, how many atoms we have? 1 carbon, 1 oxygen. While constructing CO diagram, CO MO energy level diagram, one side we have taken actually carbon, other side we have taken actually oxygen. In a similar fashion, whenever if you want to construct the MO energy level diagram of octahedral metal complex like this, one side we have to consider the metal atomic orbitals and other side we have to consider the ligand group orbitals. We have a LGOs, yes or not? Okay. So based on that, let us assume this is the metal side and This is actually ligand side. Okay. And in the case of metal, we have a 3d 4s 4p atomic orbitals, 3d6 actually. In the case of metal, we have a 3d 4s 4p atomic orbitals. But from the ligand side, what we have actually 6 sp3 hybridized ligand group orbitals. So these ligand group orbitals actually always having lower energy when compared to metal atomic orbitals. Okay. So here I am representing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these are actually 6 ligand group orbitals. So of NHC ligands. Okay. So how many electrons are available here? Total 12 electrons are actually available. Okay, because each lone pair of electron, each sp3 hybridized orbital contains one lone pair of electron. Like this, we have a total 6 into 2, 12 electrons. And coming to and what are the symmetries of all these ligand group orbitals according to symmetry group theory? So A1G plus EZ plus T1U. So these are the symmetries of all these 6 ligand group orbitals. Now coming to the metal center. What is our metal center here? Cobalt plus 3. And what is the ligand here? NH3. Okay. So in case of metal, we have a 5 d orbitals. So these are the d orbitals available in the case of metal, and these d orbitals contain 6 electrons. And then we have a 4s, and then we have a 3 4p orbitals like this. So these are the energies of the metal ion, atomic orbitals of metal center, and these are the ligand group orbitals. Now, and what are the symmetries of 3d orbitals? T2g plus Ez. According to symmetry group theory concept, d orbitals actually transforming into T2g and Ez type of orbitals, and 4s A1g symmetry, 4p T1u symmetry, like this. Okay. Now there is a linear combination. Now we have to see the linear combination between them. How it is possible? So generally, if any two elements actually having same type of symmetry, between them there is a linear combination process. So here we have a A1G symmetry, and here also we have a A1G symmetry. Yes or not? A1G symmetry. So between them there is a linear combination process. So that actually produces A1G bonding and A1G star anti-bonding level like this. A1G bonding, A1G star anti-bonding level like this. Okay. Like this, A1G bonding, A1G star anti-bonding. Then here we have a T1U symmetry, here also we have a T1U symmetry. Okay. So these are the T1U bonding levels, T1U bonding and T1U star anti-bonding orbitals. So that means here we have 3 orbitals. Here also we have a 3 orbitals actually having T1U symmetry. Total actually 6 orbitals are there. So 3 bonding and 3 anti-bonding, like this. Like this. So T1U bonding, T1U star anti-bonding, and the remaining actually here we have a EG symmetry, and here also we have a AG symmetry. So these easy symmetric orbitals combines with another easy symmetric orbitals are in the ligand group orbitals. Let us say these are the easy bonding and these are the easy star anti-bonding. Like this. So A1G is completed, T1G completed, EZ completed. That means all ligand group orbitals undergoing linear combination with corresponding symmetries like this. A1G symmetry, T1G symmetry, EZ symmetry available in the 3D, 4s, 4p orbitals. Now that means this EMBO theory actually including both atomic orbitals and ligand group orbitals during the bond formation. Yes or no? So what is the meaning of bonding molecular orbital? So during the bond formation, the atomic orbitals or the group of orbitals available in the given molecule undergoes linear combination process depending on the corresponding symmetry elements. So all these 6 ligand group orbitals now combines with atomic orbitals available in the metal orbitals. So metal center. That means it indicates that the bond between the metal ligand and bond actually a little bit covalent in nature. Okay. And if you see among the 9 orbitals, how many orbitals participate in bond formation? 2 EZ, 1 A1G, 3 T1U orbitals only. But still we have a T2G symmetry here. Yes or no? That means these T2G orbitals not participate in any linear combination process in this case. So the energy of the T2G orbitals, there is no change in the energy of the T2G orbitals here. So because these are actually not participating in any linear combination process. E1G participates in the linear combination, A1G participates in the linear combination, and T1U also participates in the linear combination process. But there is no equal symmetry from the ligand group orbitals like T2G. So A1G is available, EZ available, T1U available, but there is no T2G symmetry. So that is the reason the T2G level actually non-bonding level. So it is actually called non-bonding level. Non-bonding molecular orbitals, and these are actually called bonding molecular orbitals, and these are actually anti-bonding molecular orbitals. Now we have to fill the electrons in these newly formed molecular orbitals. From the metal side, how many electrons are available? 6 electrons are available. From the ligand side, how many electrons are available? 12 electrons are available. Total we have 18 electrons. So that 18 electrons actually occupied by this bonding, after that non-bonding, after that anti-bonding only. So first 2 electrons here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, total 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12 electrons over. Still we have a how many? 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like this, 18 electrons actually occupied by bonding orbitals and non-bonding level like this, and all the anti-bonding levels are completely empty. So if you see this energy level diagram, is there any unpaired electrons? Is there any unpaired electrons? There is no unpaired electrons available in this molecule. That means cobalt hexaamine cobaltic cation actually diamagnetic in nature. It is actually diamagnetic in nature. And here from the non-bonding level to EG star level, some energy gap is there. So T2G, between the T2G and EG star level, so there is some energy gap is there. This energy gap actually called delta naught value, that is actually known as actually ligand field stabilization energy. In the case, the same difference between T2G is actually defined as crystal field stabilization energy in the case of crystal field theory. But that is actually modified into ligand field stabilization energy in the case of molecular orbital theory in this manner. That is the difference between the T2G level and EG star level, actually known as delta naught value, that is actually known as ligand field stabilization energy. So from this also we can able to calculate what is the how much amount of stabilization energy is there. This in the same manner. Okay, so this is something about the how to construct the EMBO energy level diagram of octahedral metal complexes in this manner. So if you want to construct the EMBO energy level diagram like this, First of all, we have to identify what are the atomic orbitals available from the metal side and what are the orbitals available from the ligand side. So then we have to see the corresponding symmetries of the each and every atomic orbital and ligand group orbital. Once we know the symmetries of the each and every atomic orbital, then we can able to do linear combination process in this manner. We can generate molecular orbitals like this, or antibond molecular orbitals like this, and non-bonding levels like this. Then we can easily fill the electrons in this manner, and we can able to predict the stability of the molecule and the magnetic nature of the given molecule and all those things. Okay, so this is something about the EMBO energy level diagram of octahedral metal complex. So like this, in the chemical bonding concept, we have discussed several points like what is crystal field theory. So according to crystal field theory, so what are the main postulates and how to form octahedral metal complex, how to form tetrahedral metal complexes, what are the high spin complexes, what are low spin complexes, and splitting of d orbitals in the case of octahedral and tetrahedral complexes, all things we discussed. Later we discussed about actually molecular orbital theory. What is molecular orbital theory, how it is useful to understand the bond nature and bond strength, all those things by using two different examples like O2 molecule, CO molecule. And finally we have applied the molecular orbital theory even for the octahedral metal complexes by considering corresponding symmetry elements. So this is all about the chemical bonding concept. Next session onwards we will discuss about the water technology. So already you have some idea about the water technology during our bridge course sessions. So in this case today I discussed, and finally conclusion actually from the chemical bonding concept we discussed about crystal field theory, splitting of d orbitals in octahedral metal, tetrahedral metal complexes, and we discussed about the limitation of the crystal field theory, and we introduced actually what is molecular orbital theory, and we have seen the EMBO energy level diagrams of O2 molecule, CO molecule, even for the one of the octahedral metal complex in this manner. Okay, so next session onwards we will discuss about the water technology. Okay, so this is all about the chemical bonding. So thank you one and all.